a Blackstone president. Now it's time for real estate investors to pounce.
No, he called me. He's like, Zach, what are you feeling? What are you seeing on the ground floor in Arizona? I was like, bro, I'm a little busy right now buying, but I'll call you later. So then he published the article. Let's assume you eliminate TikTok, right? That could go away. Instagram, Facebook. What's your value? The value is in the relationships. To me, it's that street, it's the belly to belly, it's the face to face, it's the shaking in the hands. Yeah. I'm an old school kind of guy. Like, I like writing the checks. I like meeting people. I like the energy.
Yeah. That's how you dominate a market too. Like, you're the guy to go to in this market, and everybody knows that. And I was thinking about this the other day before this podcast too. Like, what is the epitome of movement and action? Like, people are so like, they just don't make anything happen. And if you want to make money, you got to like literally move. You got to make it happen. Yeah. And
I mean, this game is not, playing for 20s. We're talking about playing for hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. People want to be comfortable with you. They want to look you in the eye. They want to know who they're dealing with. It's not like, hey, let's go play poker for $100. This, you could do that online. But we're playing with serious dollars. This isn't just fake Monopoly. This is real Monopoly with real big money. People want to be comfortable with you. They're willing to leave a few dollars on the table to sleep at night, so they're not so concerned about, like you say, is the deal going to close? I don't even know the end user. Do they even have the money? Are they just posturing to find another person to assign it to make $5,000?
I'm in that position right now. I have a deal sold right now where I'm going to make $35,000. It's in Philadelphia. But this buyer over the phone, he sounds like super weak and skeptical. So I'm like, what is he on, right? Like, is this guy the real deal? And so I'm waiting for $35,000 to come into my bank account, but it's 50-50. Where if I had the deal sold to you, it's 100%.
You already moved on to the next deal.
Even if it was 25 rather than 35, I get to sleep easy at night knowing on the 15th of this month, money's going to come in because you're going to perform.
But there's things that you can do to mitigate that risk, right? You could pre-qualify that buyer. Did they send you proof of funds? Have you FaceTimed the buyer? Do you have any other references? Have you tracked any other deals he or she has bought? That's what I would do if I'm
So with this guy, proof of funds, first off, he sends me a letter, and anybody can get a letter.
Anyone can write the letter.
Anyone can get a letter. You can go online to a hard money lender. They'll give you one at the click of a button, right? So this guy, I'm like, that's not going to work. So he's got to send me his bank account. He didn't have all the money. He's like 10 grand short. But he's like, I'm getting a loan. So I'm like, guy's got
Did
six
he deposit
figures
the
in his
earnest
account.
Money?
Yes.
How much did he put in?
$5,000. Always got to try to get $5,000
minimum. And how much is the deal?
The deal is like 130,000. And he had 110,000 in his account. So I'm like, this guy's got 6 figures in his account.
Assuming that's a real account that he showed you.
Yeah.
Well, but why would he put up $5,000 if he wasn't going to perform?
Right. So there we go. And it's a good deal.
Thing I love about phone sales, it's real easy to take the phone away from you and click the button and say you're not interested. So if you're still on and you haven't clicked that little red button, that means I still have your attention, right? So after we go into the intro, we segue into step 2, which again, I have this all scripted out. Believe it or not, I really do. I go into the fact find. Usually a lead will come with a note. Hey, I see here that they're saying that you don't want to be a landlord anymore. Is that accurate? It's weird. Is the last three, 4 people I've talked to and I've been able to get qualified, they said they didn't want to be a landlord. The last one that really sticks out is Mrs. Jones. She had rental properties for years. She had a 25-year run. She broke the cardinal rule. You don't rent to friends and family members. She ended up renting to her granddaughter, drove a wedge in between them. I have a third-party story. And then what we were able to do for her is not only get her granddaughter back, because all she had to do was go to her and say, honey, someone's buying the house. And she was 62 years old, I think is what she was. And for the first time, not only did she get her granddaughter back, she was able to take the money she got from us and pay off $15,000 in credit card debt. So I hear you say you don't want to be a landlord, but why? And then, so I use a third-party story. I attach a problem to us being the solution. I circle back around. I'll ask why. I'll shut up. Where a lot of people get in trouble is they
keep talking.
They
don't
ask
listen.
Questions, and then they give them 3 options.
Correct. Yep.
So, but like fact find, and then at the very, we definitely don't have enough time for me to, fact finding is the most important thing. How long have you been, I call them the 10 obstacles that you got to get answers to before you can make an offer. How long have you been thinking about it? Are you married? How long have you and your spouse been married? Have you gotten an offer for somebody else? Why haven't you listed with a realtor? Like, there's all this stuff that you should have the answer to before you ever make an offer. And the reason is, when you make that offer, you know the objection's going to come. Why wouldn't you go into that fight with a loaded clip to where you can shoot all their objections down because you've taken the time to answer the right question, or you've asked the right questions?
That's the law. It's crazy, Rob. And this is about to pass.
So
you can't do shit.
Can't wholesale.
Yeah. They're basically shutting down wholesaling in South Carolina.
Define wholesale. Why couldn't you as an agent acquire the property? Well, technically it wouldn't be wholesale because then
that's not wholesaling,
right? Because then you're closing on it.
So here's what it is.
So just close.
So this passed the Senate, which the lawyer on the real estate commission said, if it passes the Senate, it's going to pass the House, and the governor's going to sign it. We might as well consider it a deal, right? Now it hasn't yet, but so here's what they said. This is the definition in the law. Having a contractual interest in purchasing residential real estate from a property owner, then marketing the property for sale to a different buyer prior to taking legal ownership of the property. Now, the key is prior to taking legal ownership of the property. That's a BC contract.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a double closing. Mm-hmm. So it's not just the assignment. It's the double closing too. And so then it says, this is the second part of it. So it says that's the definition, and you have to have a license. Okay, great. So that's like Virginia and Illinois and a lot of these states where you have to have a license. Well, the second part of the law says this: a real estate brokerage firm and its sub-agents are prohibited from engaging in, representing others in, or assisting others in the practice of wholesaling.
So South Carolina's out.
South Carolina, no more wholesaling.
Right.
Wow. There's a lot of guys that are going to get hit hard.
Dude.
But you're going to pivot, though, again.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? They're going to raise money. They're going to know the end users. Why couldn't they use Investorlift to not market that specific home, but a like property to gain interest, right? Yeah. Like a lot of times on Investorlift, you don't have to put the address. You could say, I have a 3-2 in Maryville for $260 without a specific address. How much traction exposure do you get? You don't even put the pictures. You could use another property. You gain that interest, and I'll disclose the address when I close. Wouldn't that work around that?
Here's what I see happening in South Carolina, and this is going to pass. Here's what I see is going to happen. For 90% of wholesalers that are not capitalized, they don't know how to do other strategies. They're out, and the guys that do are going to freaking annihilate it in South Carolina.
But that's you. They can come to you as the JV partner to say, guys, calm down. I know you're new. I'm experienced. I've got capital. Let me take these down, and then we will wholesale these. Instead of wholesale, you're going to go into a
shop in South Carolina because we're going to kill it.
There you go.
Yeah, because
the cream rises to the top.
All it's doing is it's the haves, the have-nots. You're taking away from the have-nots and you're giving it to the haves.
That's it.
Now, most people don't realize this, but I have a couple PhDs.
PhDs?
Yeah, and masters.
All right. I feel like there's a punchline coming.
No.
Honorary?
I have two actual PhDs and probably, I don't know, at least 6 or 7 master's degrees.
On the streets?
No, in my office, they work for me.
Ah. If you could sum up the Bradley operating system of how you operate, how you look at the world, what would that be?
Well, those are multiple questions. How I look at the world is through rose-colored lenses because I wake up with extreme gratitude where most people don't. I realize that getting the day itself is more valuable than anything I could achieve in the day.
Yeah.
So people are like, what do you mean? The fact that I get today is more valuable than anything I could achieve today. If I made $5 million today, wow, that's better than waking up. No, I'd rather wake up than get 5 mil.
It's powerful.
Okay, so I wake up with an incredible gift. So my enthusiasm for life is above most because of the gratitude. So that's how I look at the world. I don't think there's no such thing as a bad day as long as you have one. There could be a challenging day. There could be a character building day, but at the end of the day, I'm grateful. So gratitude is something that I highly promote. And then secondly, I simplify things. I don't complicate things. Maybe because I didn't go to college. You know, maybe because I'm not university educated. You know, I don't complicate things. I simplify things.
Yeah.
I like to simplify. So here's the simplicity of success, if that's what you want to call it. Number 1, mindset.
Yeah.
Number 2, skill set. Number 3, habits. Don't complicate it. Go get your mindset right. Go get your skill sets right. Get your habits right, and you'll be unstoppable. You'll succeed at anything that you want to succeed in with the right mindset, the right skill set, and the right habits.
You don't want to screw your whole organization up focusing on too many things. You can't be a master of everything.
That's where everybody goes wrong. For all you new guys starting off, this is where you're going to f up your entire organization, is when you don't have focus. When you start saying, okay, oh, you know what? We're going to go out and we're going to do creative. No, we're also going to be doing Airbnb, and we're going to be doing land deals. You know, now you're...
Yes. This is literally 60% of the calls we get on. It's like, oh yeah, I started wholesaling some deals, and then I was like, oh, we're gonna start flipping. And we started flipping. They were like, oh, let's add a couple Airbnbs, and we're gonna do some buy and holds. Oh, now we're getting into multifamily. I'm like, so how much money did you make last year? Oh, we lost about 400,000. Okay, you know why you're losing money? Because you're not fucking focused. Just pick one thing.
It's
follow one course until successful.
If you want a coach, get one coach. Don't get 10 coaches.
Correct.
Get one coach.
It all goes back to the same thing. The knowledge on ice, like you said. Like, people are just consuming everything. They're trying everything, but they're doing nothing right. They have no focus.
It's called shiny object syndrome. If you have that, you're a little bitch. I mean, just fucking focus. Lock in.
For real, like, literally what made you your money, your first deal, do that over and over again. Like, I'll get on coaching calls with students of mine, and I jump in, they got their first couple deals, and then they told me how they got it. It was from cold calling. And I'm like, okay, what marketing are you doing right now? And they're like, we're text blasting. I'm like, you're not doing any cold calling. Why? The proof of concept is there. It worked. Why would you stop? And people just got it all messed up. I don't know why. You got to focus and do one thing.
And become the best at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in months. It happens in years. And if you don't have the fortitude to say, well, I'm going to do something for, you know, a few years, then you shouldn't start in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's no different than trying to get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, if you go and you are trying to heavily chase and press yourself, like, it's just not going to work. It's off-putting to the other person. And I hear a lot of that in sales calls. What I've seen more often than not is that we do things in calls because people have told us to do it and we don't know why we're doing it.
Big mistake.
Point being is, a lot of times closers are asking questions.
They don't need to ask.
They don't even know why they're asking.
Right.
They're just, I was told that I'm supposed to ask how old the HVAC is, how old the roof is.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to build rapport, but they don't know how to build rapport.
Yeah.
You just said rapport is the most important thing.
Absolutely.
I build rapport through credibility, not with being their friend.
Okay, let's dive into that.
So
explain how you do that.
If I'm buying your house, I'm going to ask you, do you want to sell?
Yep.
You say, yeah. I say, how much do you want for it? You're probably going to give me a number because you probably already came to me. So assuming you're an inbound lead.
Okay, inbound lead, yep.
You're motivated.
Yep.
You're going to say 200,000.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to ask you what's going on. Tell me a little bit about what's going on. You're going to open up.
Utility is important.
You're going to tell me your pain, your motivation. We're going to talk about condition, everything else. If I decide that I'm ready to close, I'm going to walk you through my process of how I'm going to take care of you.
Okay.
So it's going to be about, hey, I'm going to be able to send over a 2-page agreement. Once you've signed that, we're going to come out. We're going to do our inspection, walk through. If the property is everything that you said it's going to be, then we're good to close on your timeline. If it's not, then we're going to have to reevaluate price and timeline. Okay. That being said, I'm willing to cover all the closing costs. There's no realtor commissions. What's the best price you could do for me if I do all that for you?
Right.
That normally gives me 10, 20% price drop, and that credibility that's built there, because now they understand the process. I don't see anybody do that. Like, I know it's in scripts. I know people talk about it.
Yeah.
But when I watch actual video, I'm not seeing people do that. I watch it in the Closers Olympics. I've seen it on stage. Like, I don't understand why we're asking about what are you going to do this weekend? Or I love your pet. I have the same kind of dog. I have the same kind of cat. You know, the things that we think are rapport, it's not really moving the needle for us, and it's not explaining to the seller how you're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think about that? Because you said rapport is the most important thing. How are you building rapport?
It's funny enough. Okay. Listen, as long as you're consistent what you're doing, you're authentic, you're transparent. I think process is very important. Credibility, right? It's easy to say, hey, listen, I can tell you anything you want to hear, but at the end of the day, Google search me, right? There's immediate credibility. We're like, I want you to know who you're dealing with. One, I think having a license is very important because, hey, I operate above board versus I'm not some shady wholesaler, so I can sell away the competition immediately. But I actually do go into, hey, I want empathy. I want to understand who you are. I understand utility. Like for me, oh, you do have a pet. I'm a big pet lover. I want you to know that like we're of the same mindset. Oh, you speak another language. I'll start speaking in Spanish to you. To me, it's not just about the asset. I want to become your best friend. I want to be your confidant. I want you to love and respect me the same way I'm going to do, and I'm going to take care of you as if you're family.
So see, the difference there is between being belly to belly and being virtual.
I sold my first deal to a lady named Bethany Willis. And she was also, the way that I got into the business, she was my client. So I was a contractor flipping houses for flippers.
Yeah.
So Bethany was a flipper. I had flipped 3 houses for her. She says, you need to get into real estate. I go, no, I am in real estate. She goes, no, you're freaking not in real estate. I'm in real estate. You're my slave. You are, in fact, you don't even own your business. I own your business. And she says to me, you're a simple Google search away from being replaced. I was like, damn. Okay.
Real honesty.
So she teaches me how to find a deal. I find a deal. I make 25 grand selling the deal to her.
Yeah.
You would think that the greatest thing in my life had just happened.
Yeah.
And it did, but I couldn't see it. The only thing I was excited about wasn't the $25,000 assignment. I just learned what the word assignment was at the time.
Yeah.
You'd think the $25,000 assignment I made with 3 hours worth of work was the exciting thing of like, I have a new way of making money. I have a whole new revenue stream I didn't even know existed. No. What I was excited about was she just bought a deal from me, which meant what as a blue collar guy?
More work for you.
Yes! That was my mindset.
You're like, you secured your next 9-to-5 job.
I wasn't even, I made way more money on the $25,000 assignment than I ever would from the flip, but I was like, ooh, I can keep my guys busy.
Right.
Yeah.
That was my mindset. And so that's the mindset I had to chisel and dismantle, and the blueprint that my father had given me from trading time for work. That mindset and that blueprint had to be dismantled and demoed for me to build a new empire.
It works like a charm. All my guys do in my office. I don't know why more people don't do this. It's genius. You pick up the phone and it's ringing and you get that, dun-dun-dun, we're sorry, the person you're talking to is not available. Please leave a message after the tone. And most people just hang up and say, all right, I'll call him back later. We actually go through the voicemail, but here's how we do the voicemail. Zach, what's going on, man? Hey, it's Sean with Ember Homes. Hey, I got some great news for you. Hey. And just hang up the call.
Right.
And I kid you not, literally 50% of the time they call back in 5 minutes, because when you hang up, you go, hey, I got some great news for you. Hey, and you just hang up the phone.
They want to know.
What? Cliffhanger. What's the good news? I need to know what the good news is right now. You know, they pick up the phone. Sean, I got your message. What's going on? Mr. Seller, I approved you for this offer for your property. I needed to speak to you about it. And boom, here we go. Literally, it works like a charm. I don't know why more people don't do it. We do it. It works really good for our office. Our connect rates go up through the roof when we do the strategy. We do it on every voicemail we
Great takeaway for the audience.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Leave everyone on a cliffhanger.
Oh, one that I do a lot with buyers is if it's a really good buyer, I'll shoot them a text. I'm like, hey, this is Robert from Investorlift. I see you're active in Scottsdale, Arizona. Would love to talk to you about purchasing a property that I have off market. Now, and then you call them, because when you send them the text, you're giving yourself a soft intro. But the beautiful thing is when you say, hi, this is Robert, then when you call them on the iPhone, shows up as maybe Robert.
Yeah.
Oh, that's smart. That's great.
Yeah, that's a good one,
that
too.
That one trick.
That
one trick, we implemented it on Tarek's team.
Yeah.
The initial contact rate went up 20%, which on that business was millions of dollars.
I'm telling you, I think the dumbest people make the most money in this business. I do. And I don't mean unintelligent. I don't mean low IQ. I just think that
They don't
keep
overthink.
They focus and they take massive imperfect action every single day. And then they fail so much that it just levels them up.
Here,
They
there's
get
two
so
guys
much
that I
rejection.
think you mentor, and I've helped them as well. Brandon and Dylan Trana. Aren't they part of your crew?
The best.
The best,
Yeah.
right? So why do I love those guys? I met them on my hike. You mentor them, maybe. I think most of you, are you and Jameel maybe, or whatever. All you guys do. I mean, they look at everyone and they always show up. Those guys don't overthink. They just take massive action. They smoke bongs all day, make calls. They didn't know anything about real estate. They have a good time. Nothing affects them. The first no means, hey, the next one's going to be yes. They are unaffected by any of that. They just take, they're traveling the world right now, calling from Sweden and Norway and all over the place, having a ball. Young guys taking action.
They each talk to a minimum of 50 new people a day.
No questions
You
asked.
cannot lose.
Right.
You cannot be a multimillionaire with that kind of consistency.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Correct.
I'm just telling you, if you talk to 50 new people a day,
It's inevitable.
you're going to do a deal a week.
It's inevitable.
That's why like wholesaling is the genesis of everything else you do in real estate.
It's a foundation.
If you don't start there, you're probably gonna lose money on your first flip. You're probably gonna lose money on your first buy and hold. Like you need that revenue coming in, you need that active income, and you need a team, and so you can get your time back to where you can focus. And I talk to so many people that are like, I just got into real estate last year. I'm flipping my first house, but all my capital's into the house, and
So risky.
it's been 6 months. It went 3 months over, this. It went this much over budget, and it's like, without wholesaling and you don't have that active income, like all your eggs in this one basket. Like now you might make 20, 30 grand on it. You thought you were going to make 60, or you might lose. Like how many investors do you know that tell you their first deal they lost money or broke even? Like that's a very common thing. And you have to be direct to seller, and you have to get these contracts low enough where when you do want to decide to flip, when you have enough capital and you have enough cash coming in every month and you're not relying on that to survive, like you get it so low and you cherry pick it where you cannot fuck it up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we did on all of our flips. Like I would look at the CRM and be like, oh, this is a $50,000 assignment fee. Let me dig into this. And I'd start looking at it and be like, oh, this is $100,000 flip. Like we're keeping this. Because
Well, you
no
said
matter
you made
what.
$1 million by your 8 to 10.
12
Those are huge
deals.
spreads. You're not 10% on those. Those are probably 30, 40% cash on cash returns. But the difference is you're direct to seller. There's no middleman. There's no daisy chains on that. So you're buying so deep where the reality is you can't lose.
You can't lose.
Right.
If I'm talking to a younger version of me, I was a menace, right? I wouldn't really care too much of what people would think about me. And I had to learn that sometimes you can get sued. Yeah, building a brand and also not caring about what people think don't really go hand in hand, And I'm not saying be a fake person, but I think just have a little bit more kindness and a little bit more patience with people, just because everybody's story is different and everybody's journey is different. For me, I was just like, I went through fucking hell and I'm making it happen, and you have the stars and the rainbows and you're just a fucking bitch. And me having to take a step back and realizing that everybody's story is different, and some people just don't have like true gifts from God that I do, or abilities, So I just say have a little bit more patience and kindness within people, and I would say bet on people a little bit more. Take a chance. When I was in my journey, I've been betrayed in business, and it was challenging for me to like trust other people at times, and it was just like I knew there was like something holding me back. And, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is the lesson of forgiveness. Yeah. That was huge for me, and learning how to forgive and just move on and just understand it's just it is the way people are built sometimes, and there's nothing that you can do to change it. The only thing that you can change is whatever you're doing right now for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I focus on now. It's just like, how can I, move the needle, for our people in our community, in our industry, and keep it moving. And if people don't do whatever, it's just like, it is what it is. They're going to experience their karma in their own sort of way. So good or bad.
Yeah.
I like that.
So, yeah, I guess that's my little 2 cents to the young Don.
Can you do the same thing over and over again for literally decades?
Yeah.
That will define whether or not you're successful.
And that's the core message of our podcast, is like why we call it the 11 out of 10 podcast. Is I always say, look, most people go 9 out of 10. And if you're going 9 out of 10, you're competing against guys that are going 10 out of 10, you lose every time.
Yeah.
The market always wants what's best. So some people realize that and they go 10 out of 10. If you go 10 out of 10 on something for long enough, you will become a millionaire. But then there's the next level. The next level is, what guys like Elon Musk has figured out, guys like Steve Jobs have figured out. That is, there's another level. They find this extra gear where they just obsess over one thing, trying to do one thing better than anyone else, and just obsess over it relentlessly for decades and decades on end. And those are the guys that just get off the chart results. Because if you're the only 1 out of 11 and everyone else is at 9 and 10 and 7 and 6, you win. You win the whole market.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes back to what you're talking about. If you can pay the most, then you win.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like Elon, when you look at what he's doing just with Tesla, since that's his most successful, thing, it's like he started out doing electric cars when no one else wanted to really do it. And now there's way more adoption today because of him. But dude, he's been doing it now for like 15 years.
Yeah.
They're not going to catch him. It's literally impossible.
Yeah. Zach always says it's delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification, baby.
You didn't wake up one day with 300 houses.
No, I woke up one day with 300, but it was just after a long time of waiting.
Yeah, I woke up today and I had it.
You went from 298 to 299, then eventually one day you wake up with 300. That's
But I think, too, the commonality, as we're talking here, I'm digesting, and I love this conversation. It's incredible. The key component to all of this is strategic relationships. Like, I love what Alon just did with Trump. I mean, to really piggyback this relationship. Now, I think it's going to be faster to get to the $1 trillion level because of, being on board with Trump and backing him and all this stuff. Like, he's betting on him, but he's also betting on himself. Look at the role he's taken on now.
Yeah.
It's a great strategic
He's
move.
going to get to do whatever he wants the next 4 years.
But at the end of the day, the relationships you have with all your students and now the integration, the ancillary income that you're creating by the stickiness of what you're creating is genius. Same thing interfacing with your customers and the messaging and just enhancing the technology. These relationships are critical.